President Trump is pointing the finger at vandals after days of unflattering headlines about peeling paint and algae growth in his newly renovated reflecting pool. The president said without evidence that, quote, sick and deranged people had sabotaged his project by pouring destructive chemicals into the pool, causing the lining to peel. And now the pool will have to be drained to make the repairs. More money on top of the $14 million already spent on this renovation. Here's U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro vowing to prosecute anyone caught damaging the pool.
If there are more serious products that are put into the reflecting pool to create more algae or a bigger problem, then we'll consider more serious charges. But make no mistake, making D.C. beautiful is a priority, and if you damage, vandalize, or do anything to impact something like the reflective pool, you can be prosecuted.
Eamon and Eugene are back with me. Listen, I'm all for, I think D.C. is pretty beautiful, but if you want to make it more beautiful, I think the problem for them is the contrast with the fact that you have 800,000 kids who are no longer receiving SNAP benefits because they didn't have money for that, but they did have money for his vanity projects.
Right. It all shows the choice. It's all a choice. And when you talk to everyday voters, they're like, we want politicians to do something for us, but they're focused on this. And Donald Trump is the perfect example of that, is that he is someone who the downtrodden of the country have elected him multiple times because they heard from him that he would take care of them, that he was not like the everyday politician. And what they have seen, especially with these vanity projects, is that he's kind of worse when it comes to like the focus and what he's supposed to be focusing on. You have gas prices where they are because of the war that he chose. He's not doing anything there. He's talking about the economy as if it's booming and we've never had a better economy, which people are looking at the money leaving their pockets and they know that's not true. And now you have him focused on possibly already arresting people for something without evidence. And I think that is this is all very silly, the reflecting pool and his focus on it and the amount of money that's been wasted. But there's a serious aspect to this where you have the federal government saying we are going to arrest people without any evidence, saying they did something that no one knows.
There was someone who was arrested, three-time Olympic canoeist Davy Hearn. He says all he did was reach into the pool to touch a piece of the paint that had already detached, which is a shame because I imagined him on the canoe, which was a much better visual. But it gives you a sense of where the priorities are and where the financial priorities are.
Yeah, so let me say two things about this. One, the reason why we are talking about the reflecting pool, even as a silly story, is because the president of the United States was obsessed with the reflecting pool. He literally held up a poster comparing the size of the reflecting pool in the Oval Office to other like historic landmark buildings around the world, like the Eiffel Tower and the Empire State Building. It's like, we're not the ones who told him, hey, go out there and fix the reflecting pool.
It's a live picture, just if anyone wonders what it looks like right now.
He's the one that made this a national story and was obsessed with it and talked about how beautiful it's going to be and how important he wanted to get it done. And then when it completely went sideways, suddenly they're like, I don't know why the media is obsessed with the reflecting pool. It's not a story. That's one part of it, right? Like the North Korean level style of denialism that's coming out of right-wing media and Fox News and others is beyond absurd, given their own president was the one who was obsessed with it. But the other part of this is what we were talking about in the previous segment with Jon Ossoff. And when you watch that Jon Ossoff speech at the Baptist Church, he talks about how this president doesn't have money to take care of children who need it, people who need cancer treatment. He's out here putting gold on all over the Oval Office. He's trying to build an arc for his name. He's putting his name on the Kennedy Center. He's trying to put $14 million, whatever it was, millions of dollars into this reflecting pool through an associate of his. All of that takes money away from the Americans who need it and are suffering right now. So yes, on one hand, this is silly, but when you take the totality of what Donald Trump is doing, his obsession with his legacy, his obsession with making everything about himself and not about the American people, it's not as silly to think about what this reflecting pool scandal really reflects about his presidency. And a problem that wasn't there that he tried to fix and only made worse.
And how he is utilizing the money that the taxpayers have already paid and what buckets he's taking it from, right? Like that's another aspect of this. And this is a place that Congress has not paid attention to, or they should have, and they just threw up their hands, especially the Republicans, is that there are pots of money, and that money's not supposed to be fungible, right? They appropriate the money for certain things. There wasn't $14 million that was appropriated for him to go paint the reflecting pool. And frankly, as I was talking to someone today, it's elementary that you would paint something darker, the heat would come, and more algae would bloom. Like, that is something that anyone could have told him would have happened.
The name of the company they hired is called Greenwater Solutions. So what did you think was going to happen?
I mean, Four Seasons Landscaping. I want to take a listen. Our colleague was at the reflecting pool, Maya Eaglin, and she spoke to some voters. This is what they had to say.
The pool was perfectly fine. We wasted all this money to, I guess, make it better, but it's not better.
It's a crazy scene. What a waste. I've been riding by this reflecting pool for decades.
I just can't believe that we are spending our money this way when there are so many higher priorities: healthcare, childcare, closing the budget deficit. I mean, there's a million places we could spend this money.
We have a tremendous amount of need in the country currently, whether you call it affordability or just the ability to pay your bills.
Some of the waste, fraud, and abuse is too amorphous, right, to actually communicate to voters, where this image is hard to hide the ball on.
Yeah, you can't. And the thing is, the only thing that Donald Trump can do about this is say that other people messed it up. He's never going to say he messed it up. He's never going to say they made a bad calculation of painting it American flag blue. They're blaming everyone else when at the end of the day, they made a decision. Instead of taking that $14 million and doing, like that woman said, a million other things with it. This is what the president's focused on. And painting it blue and putting the gold around D.C. and making this arch, it's not about making D.C. beautiful for the sake of people that live in D.C. and come to D.C. It's about him. Yeah. He wants it to be known that he did this. That's why his name was on the Kennedy Center.